Hey everyone, we're back to discuss even more predictions for 2020, and by that I mean myself along with Derek Bittner, John Cartwright, and Steve Bowling, to discuss even more ideas for what Nintendo might do in the year 2020. Now before, in our previous discussion, if you missed it, we already covered everything we knew, including the small amount of games that Nintendo has announced, among which are Animal Crossing and Zelda Breath of the Wild 2, or whatever it ends up being called, it even comes out in 2020. But now it's time for us to get into everything we don't know. So this is where things might get a little bit more wild, a little bit more unpredictable, in which we just kind of go hog wild on what we think Nintendo might possibly do for the rest of this year. So let's go ahead and start off, I think, with Smash Brothers, because this is something we didn't address last time. Even though we know there's Smash Brothers DLC coming up this year, I do want to address it just because we know there is more Smash stuff happening, and I think someone had a prediction for Smash. So who wants to start things off with that?
Master Chief will be character number 8. Not number 5, not number 6, not number 7. He's character 8.
I like it. You know why that's brilliant, John? Because if you turn that 8 on its side, it's an infinity symbol.
Exactly.
Like Halo Infinite. Exactly. Nailed it. There we go.
Okay, there you go. Crack the code.
I do legit think that Microsoft and Nintendo have been really close lately. We've had Banjo and Smash, we've had Ori, we've had Cuphead. I think there's going to be way more Microsoft stuff. And not only is Master Chief going to come to Smash, but I think the Master Chief Collection is going to come to Switch as well.
Ooh. Yeah, I know we've
awesome.
talked about that before, and I've always been excited about the possibility. And if there were ever to be a time, it seems like now might be it. Because, as you were saying, Microsoft and Nintendo are really close now. We have a Microsoft character in Smash Brothers. It only makes sense to bring Halo to Switch, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that would make Microsoft a lot of money.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it would.
But that's character number 8, though. Does anyone have any expectations for character number 5?
I mean, I think we talked about this back in November. I guess I'll just repeat what I said then. I expect the 5th character to be Ryu Hayabusa.
I predict the 5th character will appear by February 2020.
That's a
way
wild
to branch
prediction
out
there,
there.
Andre.
Yeah.
I know, thanks. That's really out there. Well, hey, speaking of really out there, as before I said, you know what? Maybe there's a chance that we'll finally get Geno in Smash. I'll stick with it. Maybe we'll get Geno as our 5th character. So there we go.
You know, I'll lean on that. I'll support you.
Thank you, John. I appreciate
Boarding
that.
the train.
Yeah.
All right. I will say I have a prediction here about when we might see the reveal for the 5th DLC fighter. And I think it's actually going to be with the first Direct of the year. And I'm going to go based on 2019, where we didn't get a Direct in January. I think it's going to be in February. And I think we're going to get a surprise release. I think it's going to be announced and boom, on the eShop that night.
That's going to kill the servers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If the Direct is in February, I don't think it'd be that much of a surprise that it comes out immediately afterward.
No.
I mean,
but,
given my previous prediction of it being February, obviously.
Yeah. Haven't they done in the past, like, revealed it and then do a, like, talk, like, a Direct from Sakurai directly afterwards?
Was that Terry?
I think that was Terry.
Yeah.
So they could do it again.
They might. I wouldn't be. Yeah, it's possible. There's precedent for it. So I guess real quick. So you don't think it'll be a January Direct? You're thinking it'll be a February Direct?
I do.
Okay.
I think it makes more sense to. I think it's probably going to continue. The only thing that kind of makes that tricky is Animal Crossing. So either the Direct will have a lot of focus on Animal Crossing and be in February, or there'll be a January Direct and then the February Direct will be all about Animal Crossing. That's the tricky part there.
Animal Crossing is late enough in March that there could even be a March Direct for it. I believe there was a Mario Kart Direct not too long before its release. I could be off base, but I remember it being pretty close to it. So
yeah, I guess that is possible. I mean, it comes out March 20th. Have it in the first week of March, and boom, that gets people excited and ready to go for New Horizons.
Mm-hmm. I reckon that there might be a January Direct, though, because right now I think the February month is just empty. I don't think there's any games scheduled to release for Switch, at least not first-party ones.
All right, well, let me go into one of my predictions here then, if we're done with Smash. And that is, I think something they could announce in the January/February Direct, whatever it ends up being, is Super Mario 3D World within the first 3 months of this year. It's coming.
Oh, wow.
It's happening.
You know, Andre, I had a very similar prediction. Mine was Wind Waker HD launches in February. It's literally like announced this month and comes out the next month.
I'm not kidding you, John. I didn't have February listed, but Wind Waker HD is also one of my predictions for this year as well.
I mean, I also had 3D World as a port for this year. Did not expect it that early. My crazy aspect was, and this is truly crazy considering it's Nintendo, I thought the big new addition for it would be online co-op.
Ooh.
For Mario 3D World.
Yeah, for Mario 3D World. That's how they bring people in.
Oh man, I can't wait for it to run as well as it does in Mario Maker 2. That's gonna be amazing.
I mean, even if they pull it off, man, playing with randoms online and having them troll you, oh my god, that's gonna
You know what I
drive
would
people
love
nuts.
is if they actually... online co-op would be cool, don't get me wrong. I think that'd be neat to have. But I would love if they actually just reinvented a new multiplayer type of game for it. Like maybe one of those, some of the mini games you've seen in games like Super Mario 64 DS, where you're racing for power stars. Something that makes use of 3D World's mechanics, but in a different way. I think that'd be neat.
There's one thing Captain Toad did, where they basically, you play hide and seek with a Captain Toad amiibo. It'd be kind of cool if you can, actually hide from someone in 3D World, and have, these little rooms sort of made for it, and just play hide and seek in, a 3D environment. That'd be kind of cool.
That'd be neat, but it wouldn't really work with the camera they have now, would it?
Not really, no. That's kind of like Luigi's Balloon World, pretty much.
It kind of is, yeah.
All right, who's got another prediction?
All right. One of my predictions kind of ties closely to yours, Andre. So
Nice.
if it's okay,
No.
I predict that we're going to get a sequel to Mario Odyssey in 2020, late in the year. But it's going to be more in the vein of Mario Galaxy 2 versus Mario Galaxy, where it's stuff that maybe was originally planned for DLC, but, they kind of realized that they had enough ideas to flesh out into a game. So something that is very thematically similar to Mario Odyssey, but is just different enough to warrant it being a new game.
Steve, will there be a medieval town that isn't just a boss battle?
So my theory is that we will get completely different kingdoms. So yeah, that's possible. But my hope is that we get different Nintendo universes kind of branching off of my decade prediction. Because if you remember, in the data for the early release of Mario Odyssey, data miners found a Link suit, or at least a reference to a Link suit that Mario was supposed to have been able to wear, which came complete with back accessories, quote unquote, assuming that's the Master Sword and Hylian Shield that he couldn't use. So I'm wondering if maybe Nintendo hasn't taken some of the ideas that they didn't use for Odyssey 1 and are using those for an Odyssey 2. And I'm hoping, or I'm predicting, that we're going to see something of Odyssey 2 this year, because it just seems so strange that we never got proper DLC for this. So I imagine that they're pulling a Galaxy 2 with this.
I agree with you. I had that on my list too. I think we will see, if not Odyssey 2, a game that uses that same engine for the next Mario. But I think it probably would be Odyssey 2. I think they're going to pull a Galaxy here.
I think we'll get some flavor of a new mainline Mario game, but definitely at least technologically based on Odyssey, if not completely thematically based on it.
I say this every single time we do a prediction for Odyssey, but they gave Peach a cappy, basically her own cappy with tiara, and she never uses it. There's got to be a use for that in the sequel. Make her playable in some form.
Oh, that would be amazing. I'm down for that. Super Peach Odyssey is something I'd totally love to have.
Hell yeah.
I mean, the whole concept of Cappy lends itself Oh, actually, I mean, I guess you could, what if Peach has accompanied you on the adventure and you just throw Cappy onto her and you take control of her body whenever you want?
Oh god, that has some
Yeah.
bad implications.
No, I mean, the concept of, I do think they'll just go straight up Mario Galaxy on this, in that they'll, it's just such a cool concept to play around with. Why wouldn't you want to expand upon it? And I'm sure, as Steve was saying, they have tons of unused ideas they could deploy here, where there's new, environments, new characters, new enemies. There's so much I can do with the idea, and I would love to see them just go hog wild. Now that we all know how the concept works, they can go nuts with the idea. Kind of like what Mario Galaxy 2 did to Mario Galaxy 1. I can't wait to see what they come up with, assuming that's the route they take. And I think seeing it this year is entirely plausible, considering it came out in the same year, the original came out in the same year as Breath of the Wild, and if we've seen Breath of the Wild 2 already, why can't we see Mario Odyssey 2 by this point?
Well,
Absolutely.
that's sort of my concern, and when I was getting in, I had Odyssey 2 on my list. I said it would be announced at E3, but I wasn't sure if it's actually going to release in 2020, because the difference with having both Breath of the Wild and Odyssey come out the same year is that Breath of the Wild came out really early in the year, and Odyssey had November to itself. This, if they does get announced, I don't know if Nintendo wants both of them in November. So
You're
what would you
probably
do?
right, Derek, but they have done it before with 3D World and A Link Between Worlds launching on the exact same day.
That's right.
True, but those are technically two different systems, so...
Exactly, yeah, but who knows? Maybe they're nuts. Maybe they want to like combat the next gen systems by like putting two of their biggest games ever out on the exact same day again.
I scanned by Steve's, I think it was, as well as my predictions from earlier that Zelda will not actually make it this year. It'll get pushed out to next year.
Yeah, I just don't see Zelda making a 2020 date. And for better or worse, I think Zelda games are by nature much more ambitious from a development perspective than Mario games. And you can tell just by how well optimized Odyssey is in comparison to Breath of the Wild, right? So I think it takes a lot more fine-tuning and manpower, so to speak, to make something as big as Breath of the Wild, whereas with Odyssey, it's really... It seems like it could be simpler. I shouldn't say it is simpler because I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, well, right. I mean, we don't pretty sure. But I mean, they have a template with Odyssey, whereas Breath of the Wild 2, I feel like not really. I mean, we don't know what we don't really know at this point. Maybe they had a template or not. But it feels like they're gonna have to mix up I feel like they have to mix up Breath of the Wild 2 more than they do for Mario to make it work, right? Or for it to work well.
Well, going off the Mario idea, I did not think Odyssey 2 would come out this year. Wasn't sure, but I did think we'd get plenty of Mario that, in addition to that 3D World port that you mentioned, Andre, I thought our Mario games for this year would be a Mario Golf, Super Mario Party 2, and a Paper Mario remake.
I had all three of those, Derek.
You can't just blow through three major predictions at once, Derek. Jeez.
Sure I can. These are my predictions.
Let's break that down. What is new Mario Golf? Is it just a standard Mario Golf, or does it have like Odyssey elements, or like what? What's the gimmick?
See, I haven't played a lot of Mario Golf, so that's the thing. I just know it usually goes hand in hand with Mario Tennis. So what they do for Mario Tennis this time around that really got everybody into it and sort of apply that same logic to golf, potentially?
I want Super Mario Galaxy Golf, where you're golfing on tiny planets.
The golf ball just keeps going.
They can orbit around the planets. You have to take that into account.
Oh, that'd be wild.
There's black holes you have to watch out for. You even have to shoot it between planets, potentially, or wrap it around planets in different orbits. I think there's real potential to rejuvenate Mario Golf with that idea.
Yeah, what I had written down was just Mario Golf Odyssey Tour, where basically all the courses are based off kingdoms from Odyssey. So you've got like a New Donk course, you've got the Sand Kingdom course, you've got like the Ruin Kingdom course. That could be really awesome.
That's a much more plausible idea.
Imagine a mini golf kingdom based around the Ruin Kingdom.
Do you see a mini golf kingdom?
A mini golf kingdom. A mini golf. That'd be awesome though. Like you put it through like the dragon's mouth or something, and then you don't know what happens after.
I will admit, I'd love a mini golf mode, because didn't one of the past Mario Golfs have mini golf?
The first one, yeah, Mario Golf 64.
Yeah.
And it never came back, right?
No, it didn't.
That needs to come back.
It should. That'd be neat.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think we will see at least a Mario sports game this year. It feels we've had a bit of a lull in them, besides the Olympic Games, so it'd be nice to have one back, and I'd be down for golf. Golf is really fun, but it would be nice if they put a new spin on it.
Tennis Aces was the best-selling tennis game ever for Mario.
Hey, there you go. Exactly. And Camelot's got to be working on something, right? That was Camelot, right? Or
Yep,
that was Camelot.
Yeah. So there we go. All right, Derek. I guess what was your next prediction for Mario?
Well, I guess we'll go with Super Mario Party 2 next.
Okay, that was one of my predictions here as well. I have a pretty specific prediction here. My prediction is that either it will be called Super Mario Party 2 or it will be called Super Mario Party and it'll have a very dumb subtitle. And it's going to ditch the partner mechanic. Partner mechanic sucked. No one liked it, I think. They're going to ditch it. It was unfair. I'm also predicting that they're actually going to introduce, for I think the first time ever, non-Mario characters. We're going to have Kirby in this game, for instance, and it's going to have full online with friends. For the first time, you'll have a proper online mode. You can play the board game with your friends.
We were so close with Super Mario Party that there were like, I think it's like 10 mini games you can play online or something stupid like that. So that would be a true selling point. I think what people just really want though is just more boards, because Super Mario Party had, I believe, 5.
Four.
Oh right, yeah. Everyone thought it was going to be DLC,
Yep.
and there wasn't. So yeah, I mean, obviously it's iterative. They're going to like save them for the sequel. But if Super Mario Party 2 has more than 4 boards, that would be delightful.
Yeah, I think they might have seen, like, this feels experimental, like, okay, we'll give them their boards, but we'll also have a lot of other things as well. Maybe now they'll realize, okay, maybe we can focus more on the boards, because people really enjoyed that. That's what everybody always talked about.
Yeah, Super Mario Party just feels like a small step toward back to what Mario Party used to be. And so hopefully they take the full step this time.
And I do like the added strategy of picking a character and having that unique dice. I do think that the unique dice should return.
Yeah. That was a good like risk reward mechanic. Yeah, Super Mario Party wasn't bad. It just took some... It was like as a step in the right direction after some fumbling with the previous ones. And maybe a sequel can get back to the true greatness.
All right, Derek, what was part 3 of your trilogy?
I was just trying to knock out all the Mario games right off the bat. A Paper Mario remake. Not
Which one?
Thousand Year Door, the original.
The original. That would make a lot of sense. I mean, because you can't really go from Thousand Year Door to the original, so they want to exploit it as much as possible. It would make sense to remake the first.
It would.
Yes.
I do wonder if there'll be a remake, though, because Intelligent Systems outsourced a lot of Fire Emblem Three Houses to Koei Tecmo. So I think Intelligent Systems are probably working on a couple of projects at the moment, and I don't know if they'll put that much resource into a remake. And I kind of want to see just a brand new Paper Mario. So it would be cool to get a remake of the first one or Thousand Year Door, but it'd be even better to get a good return to form with a brand new game.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be down for that too, but I just expected a remake after so long and the mixed reception of the last 2 games.
I think I agree with John on this one. I think we're more likely to see another Paper Mario than we are a remake. I mean, they already have an amazing art style with Color Splash, which granted they could use for a remake, but I think we are likely to see either a sequel to Color Splash or a proper return to Paper Mario, or God forbid, a Sticker Star remake.
Oh, can you imagine? Of all the routes they can take.
With the Mario and Luigi series gone, it's Paper Mario and Luigi.
Hey, there you go.
Ooh.
Yeah, we already had the crossover with Paper Jam. Let's do it the other way.
It would actually be kind of cool if they had like a split journey going on where Mario and Luigi had their own separate journeys and they rejoined at some point, but that would allow us to finally experience like one of Luigi's weird journeys he's had during the events of Paper Mario, like in Thousand Year Door. He was describing the Waffle Kingdom and the weird journeys he had over there. Like, I would love that, so...
That would be cool.
Yeah.
I could get on board with that.
If we ever did get a Paper Mario Thousand Year Door remake, I do think they should take Luigi's stories and turn them into small gameplay sections to have extra content.
That'd be
People
really cool.
would pick that game up so quick just to experience the Waffle Kingdom adventures.
For sure. I feel like they often, when RPGs re-release themselves with more content, it kind of feels shoehorned in, but that would be really natural.
So, Derek, with your prediction, along with Odyssey 2, that's like 4 Mario games we could be looking at for this year.
I mean, how's that any different?
Not a bad point.
So I have a remake adjacent prediction for this year.
Interesting.
Okay.
So I think in the last Direct of 2020, we are going to get an announcement of a proper remake of The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time.
Ooh.
And the reason for that is that The Legend of Zelda turns 35 in 2021. So I think to close out the year, Nintendo is going to drop just the most minimal trailer you've ever seen. But I think Grezzo is going to handle a proper HD remake of the game finally for Switch in Zelda's 35th year, because we already have in Breath of the Wild kind of a remake of Zelda 1, and I don't think there's any arguing that next to the original, Ocarina of Time is the most impactful game in the series.
Yeah, I mean, the original Ocarina and Breath of the Wild are kind of the Triforce, the pillars of of like Zelda redefining. So I love the idea. I don't think I don't even know if we'll get a remake, but if we do, I don't think it'd be announced this year myself. But I'd love to be wrong, because I think there's still. I mean, that would be right off of Breath of the Wild 2 at best. So it just feels too soon to me for it to be announced.
Oh, that's fair. I feel like they're going to do something to mark the 35th anniversary of the series.
They better.
I feel
Sure.
like that would be like the obvious move, but yeah, you could be right. I mean, it really depends on when Breath of the Wild 2 drops, and like you said, I already don't believe it's coming out this year. So.
But since Breath of the Wild release, we've had a Zelda every single year, so there's got to be something this year. Whether it's going to be just a port of Wind Waker or a new game or another remake, there's going to be something.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think there has to be something.
I can't see them not going a year without Zelda now. I think Breath of the Wild was too big.
What was 2016 Zelda?
Well, I mean, since 2017.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, that's a
And
relatively small
2016
period
was
of time.
Twilight Princess HD.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess you're right. Well, I mean, hey, here, I'll give my prediction then. I guess it's similar to John's. I predict that we will see a Skyward Sword HD this year. So I'm undermining what I just said because I think that could be this year's Zelda, and that's Skyward Sword HD.
That's an interesting choice, only because I'm curious how well the Joy-Con could replicate the one-to-one sword motion.
It would be able to replicate it perfectly, except for the syncing portion, which could be an issue because the only thing the Joy-Con has pretty much the exact same tech as the Wii Remote did, except for the pointer. And the only thing, to my recollection, they used a pointer for in Skyward Sword was recentering your controller. So it would basically recalibrate it whenever it saw the sensor bar. You could also recenter yourself using, I think, down to the D-pad. So that would just be something you have to do manually yourself constantly in the HD remake, which admittedly isn't ideal, but it's not like unheard of for Skyward Sword, because you could, some people I think already had that experience if they had sensor bar issues, for instance, or their environment wasn't conducive to using the sensor bar. So it could work, it just may not be the ideal experience for it, but...
True. And to kind of play devil's advocate here, Nintendo is not completely against re-releasing old controllers to appease their fan base, so...
Can you imagine? Could you imagine a Wii Remote and sensor bar for the Switch? I'd be on board. I'm cool with it.
That'd be kind of amazing.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, if they can release a game controller 20 years after that thing existed, then why not?
Alright, allow me to introduce the Indie 5. So, Cadence of Hyrule was a pretty big surprise this year, where an indie developer got to make a Zelda game. But in 2020, they were going to announce the Indie 5, which are 5 neglected Nintendo IP being taken upon by indie developers.
Is this like the new Capcom 5?
Pretty much. Yeah. So, Kid Icarus, F-Zero, Star Fox, Earthbound, and Advance Wars are all going to get picked up by indie developers to release in 2020.
You're insane.
We've already covered...
Yeah.
We've already covered, of course, Toby Fox is getting Earthbound. I'm not sure who the other 4 are going to, but it's all happening.
Oh
I
my
mean,
God.
wouldn't the Wargroove developer get Advance Wars?
I guess like Chucklefish would be good for Advance Wars after Wargroove.
Man, this would be an ambitious prediction, even for our decade prediction.
Well, I at least think there's going to be another Nintendo indie game.
Okay.
Maybe not 5 of them.
I will give you that.
Be
I will give you, and I will actually kind of piggyback off that. In that I was also actually no, I won't. I'll save that for later because I think you are right though, John. I think we'll see at least one more indie collaboration, if not this year, sometime in the near future. And
the Indie 5.
And I hope you're right. Like that'd be amazing.
So I actually have a prediction that can tie to this somewhat, and so sorry, John, I can't agree with you because one of my predictions is that Ubisoft will make the next Star Fox game.
They already kind of did, so that makes
Right.
sense. Yeah,
Like Starlink was a bad game, but a good proof of concept
Right.
for a potential Star Fox title.
it had a really cool concept and some pretty decent, like, foundational elements that could really be reworked into something great, I think.
And I think Nintendo recognizes that, or else they wouldn't have let them take Star Fox and add that property to the game. And I could easily see Ubisoft saying, okay, well, you know, this was a misfire, but why don't we repurpose this engine and this tech into a proper, you know, Star Fox title, and we'll help you bring the franchise back. I could definitely see that being a thing, and maybe even something that was already discussed prior to Starlink's kind of hitting the ground with a thud. But I'm predicting that in 2020 we at least see the next Star Fox and that Ubisoft is helming it.
Does this include the furry character creator that we touched upon in the, I think, the previous predictions?
Should.
I'm so scared. But sure, why not?
Oh my god. Yeah, I mean, hey, I'm down for that idea. So I don't know if we'll see Star Fox again quite that soon, but it wouldn't shock me if that is what they're working on. Taking a concept that could work and making it work. But I do think that game bombed, so that might be a point against that.
Well, yeah, it is only $6 right now.
I mean, people mostly got the Switch version because of Star Fox, so...
That's true.
Well, I'm going to piggyback off that, but I have another Ubisoft-related prediction here, and it actually goes back to I'm also going to further undermine my Zelda comment from earlier, because I'm predicting, it's been years now since Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle, so I'm predicting we get Zelda plus Rabbids Hyrule Kingdom Battle.
Oh, God.
Oh my god.
Back of that.
No.
I can see that happening.
Please,
Oh,
no.
boy.
We said that about Mario and Rabbids, and it sold so well.
Exactly.
And it was a really fun game.
It was a super fun game. It shouldn't have worked, and they nailed it. They killed it.
Would they keep Rabid Peach? And
Sure,
Ooh.
why not?
Yeah, well, yeah, she's got to be in. But like they sort of touched upon other universes with the Donkey Kong Adventure DLC.
Right.
We've got like Cranky Kong and DK as well.
There's precedent for it.
It'd be. We keep bringing this in, but like, what if there were other like lots of Nintendo worlds to explore? Like, what if every single world was a Nintendo world?
That'd be a pretty natural
gosh.
place to take the series, I think. Yeah, make it like a Nintendo Kingdom Battle. Nintendo plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle.
Yeah, I mean that's
I
basically
don't
the
want that to be
overarching
the
goal of
first
all of our
Nintendo
predictions.
crossover
Like
game.
Nintendo Kart, Mario plus Rabbids Nintendo, blah blah blah.
Mario Party
Everything's just gonna
Nintendo
be a big
Tour or
Nintendo
something like
crossover.
that.
Yeah, right. I do think Zelda does lend itself particularly well to the Kingdom Battle idea for a couple of reasons. One, Kingdom Battle already had like a light puzzle solving element, and Zelda, of course, is what else but a bunch of puzzles. But also, like even the turn-based combat, I think, could kind of work, considering Zelda 2 already ventured a little bit toward the RPG side of things. So it'd be fun to see like what Kingdom Battle could do with a Zelda overlay, essentially, and what they could, I think it'd be fun to explore like a kind of like smaller version of a Hyrule field and whatever other regions there are, like Gerudo Valley, and bring in some Breath of the Wild stuff if you want. I don't care.
Andre, Rabbid Tingle, yes or no?
Oh my God, Tingle Rabbid, dear God, is the world ready
brutal.
for such a thing?
Oh man, I would kind of love to see a Rabbid Zelda and her and Rabbid Peach going at each other. Like,
oh man,
I do not approve of how you worded that.
At each other's throats.
Someone's drawing now, Derek.
Oh no! Please don't. Please don't.
The pen's at the ready.
It would be funny to see Rabbid Zelda taking selfies with a Sheikah slate, though. I'm on board with that.
Actually, yeah. I mean, Rabbid Zelda could effectively be just a Rabbid Peach of this game, right? Like,
or just you know what? You could even have a Rabbid Link like doing all those dumb poses everyone on Twitter makes him do in selfies.
I like it.
I mean, Wind Waker Link might be the best choice for that, design-wise, for this type of game.
Yeah, maybe. Mm-hmm. All right, let's move on. Who's got another prediction for me or for us?
All right. Well, I'm gonna take it back towards the beginning of the year because we have Persona 5 Scramble coming out soon, at least the Japanese release of Persona 5 Scramble, and that's definitely coming this year. But I'm going to dip my toe into those waters again. It's time. With Persona 5 Scramble hitting the Switch, we're going to see the Switch market. They're aware of that. They know that people wanted it. It's time to put the Persona games on the Switch. It's happening this year.
Including 5?
Maybe. I mean, it'd be the original 5, but I think it could happen. I think 3, 4, and 5 have a good shot of being on there. Bonus points if they can get Persona 1 and 2 on there as well.
That'd be sweet. There's already quite a lot of Persona representation on the Switch. Like the BlazBlue crossover has Persona 4 fighting in there. There's, of course, he's in Smash. You got Persona Q2. Then we got Persona 5 Scramble. There's so much Persona 5 and Persona stuff on the Switch, but no Persona. So it's got to happen at some point.
Yeah, I agree. I think, I expected Persona 5 to launch on Switch last year, and I've expected it so heavily that I've not finished the PS4 version, and I'm still holding out because I just expect deep down that at least Persona 5 will come. So I'm on board with this. I think that Persona 5 that this is the year for it.
All right, maybe it is.
I've got one that I can add on to that with. It's not Atlas related, but it is RPG related. I feel that in 2020, specifically at E3, Dragon Quest XII is going to be formally unveiled, and it's going to launch first on Switch.
First on Switch.
That's right. I think Dragon Quest XI's did well enough that Square Enix is going to either launch it first or at least simultaneously with other versions. But I do feel like because we recently heard the news that they've been working on this game already for a year, so it makes sense to me that E3 would be, Square is going to want to trot out a game of this magnitude, and I feel like the Switch version of Dragon Quest XI is kind of seen as the definitive version at this point. Well, by name even. I just feel like we'll see this and the Switch will be a main runner. It's not going to be lagging behind like it did with 11.
I think you're a year too early. They just announced they've been working on it for a year. Dragon Quest takes a long time. There's a heck of a gap between 9 and 10 and 10 and 11.
Oh, that's fair. I'm not a Dragon Quest expert by any means, but
yeah, I do think Switch could be the primary console because usually when Square looks at what console is selling the best, that's the system that Dragon Quest goes on.
That was my thinking for that because I again, not a Dragon Quest expert, but I do remember at least one numbered entry launched first on, I believe, DS, right, Derek? Or
yeah, 9.
Yeah, so that was kind of where I was headed with that.
Okay, I've got a Pokemon prediction. This one, I'm not going to predict any mainline game. I reckon Game Freak's going to take a year off. But I've got a spin-off prediction.
Well, that's a pretty big. Hold on, that's a pretty big prediction by itself. Game Freak taking a year off.
Let's elaborate more on that. Okay, all right. So I think Sword and Shield sold extraordinarily well, and previously we've had like Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon. We've had Let's Go. They could either do another Let's Go game, or they can take a year off and just try and I guess, a punch up Sword and Shield a bit more, because it feels like that game has more in there that they haven't put out yet. Like, the wild area, it's good, but you can catch Pokemon in there, and that's more or less all you can do. There's parts of that game that feel like they could be filled up more, and I reckon that they're probably going to do it with updates now, because we're on an actual console now. I reckon in the past they didn't actually do proper updates for the 3DS games because it was a 3DS. Whereas now I think that Sword and Shield might get like a DLC kind of treatment rather than second versions.
Okay, alright. I think that makes sense. So let's hear your spin-off then.
Wooloo Pinball! Pokemon Pinball
Oh
is
my
awesome.
god.
We had Pokemon Pinball on Game Boy Advance. They were really great. And what better Pokemon to be a pinball than Wooloo? Wooloo Pinball.
Oh my god.
I love
want
it, John.
I want it so bad.
I want it, but I do not see that happening.
No, but I want it.
But yes, I do want it.
Pokemon Pinball was I think it was pretty successful, so it would be
It
nice
got a
if they did
sequel.
return to it, yeah. Oh, I guess it did, didn't
Yeah.
it? So, yeah.
And also, like, all the mobile Pokemon spin-offs lately have all kind of bombed. Like, Pokemon Go was a massive success. Everything else, though, like, who remembers Magikarp Jump? And, like, Pokemon Masters is kind of fluctuating. So I reckon the spin-offs are gonna, like, start focusing more on the Switch now.
Hope so.
Yeah. that would make
we
sense.
could maybe see a new Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, which fans would be definitely excited about. That
sure.
series is well loved, even though I've never gotten into it. So, yeah. I could see it.
Alright, moving on. I'm gonna knock out 3 predictions at once, because I think these are all things we could see in the January/February Direct. And that is, number 1, we're gonna get another Labo VR update, this time for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, finally! This is like the one game that's been missing, that's been like the odd one out when it comes to VR updates. It's got like every other Labo update, except for VR for some reason. I think it's time, I think we'll get proper VR mode. It'll probably be the final Labo VR update, but I think we will see at least one more. It's going to come to Mario Kart. Next, Ring Fit Adventure is getting a free running mode. It will be free, and it's a free running mode where you just run endlessly, however you want. So no battles, nothing. You just take your time and enjoy the world and its sights. But also,
That makes sense.
there will be a paid DLC expansion pack that adds a whole new world, whole new missions, maybe a new villain, just all kinds of things, and it's basically a second version of the game that again will be paid. Finally, Super Mario Maker 2 3.0. It is getting a playable Samus and a playable Kirby. You can play these characters, and you can fly through the worlds as Kirby, you can shoot your way through as Samus. There's now precedent with Link. I think Nintendo's going all in on this angle with basically bringing back some of the Mii costumes from before, Amiibo costumes from before, but now as actual proper playable characters. And of course, we'll get a new style too, but I don't know what that is.
I love this. I have another prediction for this as well, but I want to elaborate more on what you said. So, there's lots of Metroidvania levels in Mario Maker, and I feel like some of them are good, but you're kind of hindered by what Mario can do. And having Samus in there could redefine what Mario Maker is. There could be so many brand new levels with that.
Metroidvania is basically the first stage created in Mario Maker, I think, so it makes so much sense.
And also with Ring Fit, it's built on the Breath of the Wild engine. So like, what if the free running area actually like running through Hyrule, like on like a pre-designed route, just running across all of Hyrule?
I have wanted that. I thought it'd be so fun if they added a Ring Fit mode to Zelda Breath of the Wild, where you can, as you said, run through Hyrule. There's even paths already for you to run along, and then you can like squeeze a ring to shoot an arrow or something.
There's one mini game in Ring Fit where like you squeeze down and you lunge up. Like imagine like climbing while doing that, just sort of just throwing the ring.
Oh my
yeah.
god!
You're limited by your actual stamina.
And it starts
it.
raining as you're doing that.
That would.
That's like the faster rep point. You get to a certain point, it starts raining.
Oh man, that would be such an amazing thing. You would actually be really great. Is they added like a spray bottle attachment to the ring, so every time it's so much raining in the game, every time you squeeze the ring, it squeezes the bottle and shoots water on your face.
Oh god.
That'd be awesome. For Mario Maker, I had written down a Mario 64 thing. I think there's some easy things you can put in Mario Maker. Like you can just put in like I think Mario Brothers 2 is the obvious one,
Right.
and that would be cool, as would Mario Land. But I think Mario 64 could be really interesting. Like you get some brand new enemy types. You can play around with Mario 64's physics. Maybe even do like a backwards long jump or something. I think it's just a bunch of fun stuff you could do with that sort of engine.
to that point, it would kind of make sense. The thing with Mario Brothers 2 is it would kind of feel weird if it were its own theme, I think, or its own style, like alongside 3D World, because that game existed along the original games, right? Alongside the original games. It was a sequel. It'd be weird if you go from 1 to 3D World, and then you have 2 all by itself for some reason. So, whereas with Super Mario 64, that being a 3D game, it makes sense for that to be, it has to be adapted in the same way as 3D World was. It kind of makes sense for that to be alongside 3D World as its own unique style. So that'd be cool. I don't know if that's going to be it, but...
I actually have a differing prediction on Super Mario Maker 2's additional style.
If it's Mario Sunshine, God help you.
It is not. I actually think we're getting Mario Galaxy.
Ooh.
That'd be cool.
So I think that they're going to introduce, and the reason why it's taken so long, I think we're going to get the ability to place planetoids and play with gravity. So, that'll be the thing that kind of makes it distinct, right? Because I just can't imagine Mario 64, because, they're gonna make it play like a side scroller, right?
Yeah, like 3D World does.
Yeah, like 3D World does. But we're going, I feel like Mario 64 wouldn't necessarily look really great in that style. Whereas I think Mario looked really great in those games. And it has enough of a unique gameplay hook to make making levels in that style really interesting. So that's kind of my
There's
prediction.
already 2D side-scrolling sections in Galaxies. It's kind of natural.
Not just that, John, they actually dabbled with 2D Galaxy segments in Odyssey with like planetoids you could orbit around on the moon in 2D. So
That's true. I didn't even think about that.
In those side-scrolling sections in Galaxy, there are those points where you have those arrows which sort of dictate the gravity direction. That could be so cool in Mario Maker.
Yeah,
that'd be really
a
neat.
lot of fun. Although part of me does want Mario 64 because he has a punch and kick in that mode, and now you can make like a side-scrolling beat 'em up in Mario.
That would be really cool, actually.
that's actually a good point. You could kind of emulate that with a cat suit already, but yeah, it's not the same as punching, kicking your enemies. So, yeah.
I'm sure you're all surprised, but we had so many predictions that we have to split up our 2020 discussion even more. So be sure to come back tomorrow to hear the rest of what we think might happen in this new year. Thank you for watching, and if you like this video, be sure to like us on Facebook and Twitter at GameXplain. And of course, be sure to subscribe to GameXplain for more on Nintendo and other things gaming as well. Until next time, bye.